Hey, this is Ramon Channels Alpha 4, and this is my Bible study. Today we are doing Genesis chapter 33, and this is Esau and Jacob reunite. And my usual setup is summary, followed by questions, and then my notes with relevant readings. But today I don't really have any questions, so it's just going to be a summary followed by my notes. And today's readings are coming out of the Christian Standard Bible. Now, of the Bibles that I've read so far, and including some going forward, so far we've done the NAV, the ESV, the NIV, and previously we had been using the NRSV and the NAB before I was doing relevant readings. This one is the first one where the readings are completely different than the other books. So for the sake of my notes, I will be giving some of the lines from different texts, so that way my notes will be relevant to the thing I'm talking about. But so far, the CSB, the Christian Standard Bible, is the most radically different translation compared to the other translations. Alright, so the summary. Esau approaches Jacob, now Israel, with 400 men, and Jacob, showing that which he values most, putting Rachel and Joseph furthest away from his brother, but putting the slaves and his children by them first, having Leah and her brood in the middle of the column. Jacob prostrates 7 times, his humiliation complete. He has now fully humbled himself before his older brother. But Esau, now a great and successful man, had long ago forgiven his brother, and treats Jacob as the lost sheep found, as the prodigal son returned. Jacob then gives all credit for his accomplishments to God, and has his whole family kneel before Esau. Jacob then compares Esau to God and begs his forgiveness and acceptance of his sacrifice to him. Esau, wanting to protect and love his brother, asks Jacob to come with him, but Jacob misleads his brother, still fearing that his brother may yet take his rightful vengeance, which his ancestors will. And thus they part, Esau to Seir, and Jacob to Succoth. There, Jacob bought land and built a home without using trickery to do so. And from there, he went about his life at his own slow pace. In this chapter, Jacob demonstrates dutiful submissiveness through paying homage to one he owes much to, while Esau demonstrates grace through self-control by showing mercy and granting forgiveness. And that's the summary. Now let's move on to the notes. Verse number 1. Jacob looked up and saw Esau coming toward him with 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the 2 slave women. Narratively, the build-up to a confrontation and climax has already been taken care of by the wrestling of the divine stranger. Now, in the denouement to that arc, a releasing or relaxing of tension can occur, suggesting one end of the story could have been the previous chapter. Then we get to verse 3. He himself went on ahead and bowed down to the ground 7 times until he approached his brother. 7 prostrations, was a gesture of homage to one's Caesarean, according to the Amarna tablets from around the 14th century BC, which were a record of correspondence between Egyptian, Canaanite, and Amorrhan administration representatives during the New Kingdom period. Then we move on to verse 5. When Esau looked up and saw the women and children, he asked, "Who are these with you?" Remember that Esau now had 3 wives and 5 sons of his own. Esau was now a powerful mountain warlord of the Dead Sea with an army, while Jacob was a temporary tent-dwelling herdsman, a shepherd with a family. Esau was of higher status, socially, in the ancient world, while Jacob acknowledged God for all that he owned and had accomplished, because he had become a man of faith. "I have enough, my brother," Esau replied. "Keep what you have." This is an important renunciation to a claim to Jacob's property by Esau. Ever large-hearted, Esau kisses the neck of the ever-cunning Jacob and calls him brother even before Jacob can finish appeasing and making amends. Esau is led by his heart, by his passions, while Jacob is led by his cleverness and cunning intellect, by his mind and by his faith, cementing the dichotomy between the 2 brothers. Then we get to verse 11. "Please take my present that was brought to you, because God has been gracious to me, and I have everything I need." So Jacob urged him until he accepted. Now the same line from the Jewish Publication Society. "Please accept my present, which has been brought to you. For God has favored me, and I have plenty." And when he urged him, he accepted. This line, "Please accept my present," can be translated also as "Please accept my blessing," an amends for Jacob previously wrongfully stealing Esau's proper blessing, now restored by Israel. Then we get to verses 12 through 14. "Then Esau said, 'Let's move on, and I'll go ahead of you.' Jacob replied, 'My Lord knows that the children are weak, and I have nursing flocks and herds. If they are driven hard for 1 day, the whole herd will die. Let my Lord go ahead of his servant. I will continue on slowly, at a pace suited to the livestock and the children, until I come to my Lord at Seir.' By Israel not joining his brother, this maintains Israel's independence and his lineage's independence against assimilation into the surrounding and more powerful nations. This move, in his words here, was either a deception or a prophecy that has yet to be fulfilled as of filming this video. A prophecy that one day the brothers will be family again, that they will join each other. But it will take time, and it will happen slowly and continually. Then we get to verse 15 through 17. Esau said, "Let me leave some of my people with you." But he replied, "Why do that? Please, indulge me, my lord." That day Esau started on his way back to Seir, but Jacob went to Succoth. He built a house for himself and shelters for his livestock. That is why the place was called Succoth. Yet, for all that we have covered in this chapter, the reconciliation is not total. As Israel cannot trust his brother after the severity of the wrong Israel, as Jacob, caused him. This flaw of Jacob's, greed and favoritism, will continue into his sons and will almost cost him the life of his favorite son. And I would include in there also ambition. Ambition, greed, and favoritism, I think, goes to the core of the flaw in this particular family. Now let's move on to verse 19. He purchased his tent from the sons of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of silver. The Hamor were the pre-Israelite inhabitants of Shechem. As in most of Genesis, the character names represent the real political relations that the nation of Israel had with the non-Israelic groups of the Levant. And then we get to verse 20. And he set up an altar there and called it God, the God of Israel. I prefer the NAB translation. He set up an altar there and invoked El, the God of Israel. And then there is the CTSNC. Here he erected an altar, which he called El, God of Israel. The actual name in the Hebrew is El Elho Israel. And this title or name confesses the supreme Canaanite deity to be the sole God of Israel. Churches and synagogues do the same as is established here. That is, they set up an altar. So, there we go. That is chapter 33. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope my flow was a little better than it was in the previous chapter. I know I was suffering from an allergy attack then. This time I'm pretty clear, although I did have a busy and long day, so if it's still a little off, that's why. But I hope this was more enjoyable. And please comment down below. Ask me any questions. Like I said, I don't really have any questions this time. I did have some as I was going, but I kind of answered those questions in the notes. So let me know if you guys have any questions about this chapter, if you guys have any thoughts. And I will talk to you all next time. Peace, like, and subscribe. Have a great night.